Hey everyone, I'd like to welcome you to one of the last sessions of the conference. We appreciate you sticking around. It's good to see people are still interested in hopefully having a good discussion. I'd like to start our panel. The panel is called The Power of Asking, and I wanted to have the panelists introduce themselves, starting with Joe.
Hi, I'm Joe Hansen. I've been a merchant for a while, and now I run a venture capital company and a web marketing company called Evolve Group.
I'm Travis number one, unless you ask him, and then he's Travis number one. I've been in the affiliate industry for over 7 years. I've worked for 4 different companies, Overstock.com, Backcountry.com, and Progression Marketing. Now I'm currently with DBG Loyalty. We do loyalty, points, cashback malls for Bank of America, Marriott, and a few other clients.
My name is Travis Jacobson. I've been in the industry for the past 6 years with 3 different companies. Started off with Affiliate Crew, Net Media Group, as an OPM, and then I moved on to one-on-one marketing where I was doing lead gen, and now I'm with Bluehost where we're selling hosting accounts. So.
I guess I should have been doing this with the slides to show them while they were talking about it, but I'm Paul Schroader. I'm with PS Web Solutions. I'm kind of an old timer, I guess. I've been doing internet advertising since '95. I've been in affiliate advertising specifically since '99. And hopefully we'll have a good discussion here. I want to start this discussion, actually this panel, with an experiment first. So I need 3 volunteers, if I could. Ooh, there's one right there. Okay, I need 2 more. I promise not to hurt you. Okay, there's one more right there, and 1 more. Yeah, come on up. Thank you. I'm impressed. Thank you for doing that. Now, this actually involves my wallet. You like that? Okay, I'm going to pull something out of here. And I want you to take a look at it for me. Each of you take a look at it front and back, if you would.
Can we keep?
Well, we'll get to that point. Okay, take a look front and back. Closely at it. Now that wallet, or that money has been sitting in my wallet actually since the last time I was in Vegas at PubCon in October. And it may or may not have come from a casino. I'm not sure. But so I'm going to give you each a chance to take a look at it closely and then ask me one question about it. Since you volunteered first here, you get to ask the first question. Not exactly sure. Okay. Next one. Next question. Is it counterfeit? Not exactly sure on that one.
Any question?
Any question you'd like.
How'd you get it?
I think it was at a craps table, to be honest with you. Now this is a bad thing here because someone spoke out of turn, but when they spoke out of turn, they actually asked the question that I was looking for. And I guess because of that, I'm going to have to give it to him. So he asked the right question. Do you all remember what he asked? His first question, can I keep it, right? If somebody has money right here and they want you to ask a question about it, that's a pretty good question to be asking. He asked the right question, so he gets $50. Don't gamble it all in one place.
On the craps table. So thank you very much.
All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you guys, I appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to switch back up here. What's the worst that can happen when you ask? I mean, you can be told no, it's no big deal, right? A lot of times, I guess let me say this, when we're growing up, we were taught to ask, right? We asked for everything. Hey, Dad, can I get a piggyback ride? I remember my neighbors would always say, hey, can you give me Mr. Paul, can you give me an underdog on the swing? Asking constantly, can we have a sleepover? Can we go to a movie? More dessert? That sort of thing. But as we've gotten older, we just don't tend to ask as much. I don't know if it's because we're so independent or what it might be, but it can be our pride, it can be that we're afraid of being rejected, it can be that, we think that it makes us vulnerable, or, we don't want to overstep our bounds. And so I did a lot of research in leading up to this panel, and I came across some good articles. This article was titled The Power of Asking, and it was a doctor she said, there's no weakness in asking. If we wait for someone to give us what we want, it's likely that we're not going to get it. And, basically we find that we're sometimes feeling that people should just see what we deserve. We deserve it, we're doing it. they should notice it and they should come to us and offer it, and that's not always the case. You really need to put yourself out there and ask for it. I'd like to show this video here. This is one that a lot of you may have seen. It was really popular leading up to the holidays, but it was a brand's very good way of asking their customers what they wanted. Now, let's watch that and then we'll talk about it here in just 1 second. There we go. The clicker's not going to do it, but I can do it like that. Come on, Sean. We didn't, I was hoping that someone had tested it before we try one more time. The pointer works. Jump that back one more time here. If it doesn't work, then maybe enough of you have seen it that we can talk about it anyway. QuickTime is not available. I guess we should have asked if QuickTime was available on this computer or not. So that didn't work. But how many of you are familiar with the WestJet Airlines in Canada? Okay, how many of you saw the video that I wanted to show here? Okay. This video was a very good representation of a company that was doing something creative to engage with their customers. And the video showed how they set up a kiosk in one of the Canadian city's airports as they were flying to another Canadian city, and they put it in their colors of purple, and so instead of red and white, it was purple and white, and they had, within this kiosk, they had Santa Claus in purple and white instead of red and white. Passengers would come up and be able to engage with Santa Claus and ask, he would ask them, what do you want for Christmas? What do you want for Christmas, Billy? What do you want for Christmas? And he'd ask families and individuals what they wanted, and he had asked one man what he wanted. He said, I want clean socks and underwear. And he asked another family what they wanted. He said, we want a big screen TV, and went through the list, and they rushed out between the flight in the one city and went to all these different places, bought the gifts, wrapped them up. It was really, really well done. They arrived, and instead of their luggage coming out of the carousels, they had these gifts come out of the carousels. And it was really well done, set to music and emotional and everything else. And my point to bringing that up is, if somebody's going to ask you what you want, would you rather have a large screen TV or socks and underwear? Because they both got what they wanted, but someone asked for something, I think, a little bit more significant. One other example, as I was researching, was a woman named Amanda Palmer. She is an artist and a musician who gave a TED Talk last year called The Art of Asking. And in it, she'd talked about being rejected by their label. They'd been dropped by their label, and she was a little disappointed. But after a concert, one of her fans came up to her and gave her a $10 bill. And she was signing autographs, and she said, what's this for? He said, I have to be honest with you, I was at a friend's house, and I burned a copy of your CD. And so she said at that point, a light bulb went off, and she said, our fans want to support us. And the labels had been demanding people pay for their music and this and that. And so she said, I'm going to start a Kickstarter campaign. She started a Kickstarter campaign. They had 25,000 supporters, and they raised well over $1 million. It was the most well-funded music project up to that point. And if you get a chance, I recommend you look it up. I've got it at the end of the deck here, and listen to that talk of hers, because she talks about why we're hesitant to ask and why we shouldn't be hesitant to ask, because people do want to help you and support you. And finally, I want to give one example, a personal example. As an affiliate some time ago, I had a relationship with a merchant where at the end of the month, going into the new month, we would reconcile the previous month's sales, and I was excited about this particular commission, because a $750 commission is not a bad commission to have. I remember mentioning it to my wife and saying, that's great, we just made $750 on this particular thing. And it was some time ago, but I do remember going into that reconciliation process, the transactions came back and said, these are declined, these are voided, these were refunded, and that happens in these special relationships. And I saw that one show up, and I was heartbroken. I was like, that's $750 out of my pocket. But I thought, what the heck? I'll double check on that one. And so I asked the woman in accounting, and when I talked to her, she said, oh, you know what? I remember that one. The customer called up and said they wanted to put it on a different credit card, and it did go through. So go ahead, you don't have to reverse that one. So that was $750 just simply because I thought of asking on that. So with those examples, I'm kind of done with setting the stage here. I'd like to kind of turn it over to the panel and see if they have some examples that they can think of where someone was really rewarded for simply asking. And we'll start with Joe if we can.
Yeah. My example comes from being a merchant. Back in 2011, I still owned a company called Flirty Aprons, and we were working with a number of different merchants going into the holiday, or a number of different affiliates going into the holiday season, trying to prepare for Q4 and for Cyber Monday, because it had been successful the last year. And earlier in the year, we had run a deal and promoted to affiliates where we were discounting our product, and Slick Deals had picked it up organically, and it had done really well. So my affiliate manager, Greg Hoffman, recruited Slick Deals and brought them into our program, but we spent a couple months bugging them, asking them to promote our deal going into Cyber Monday, and we didn't get much of a response from them. In fact, that day, I was actually on the phone trying to get a hold of them and sending them emails, telling them, if you promote our product, if you promote our deal, you'll see some extraordinary gains. Well, it so happens that that extra push right at the last minute kind of incentivized them to put it up there, and it got on the home page, and we sold about $130,000 worth of product on that Cyber Monday. So it was pretty successful for us. It was our best day yet. For us, we just learned that we needed to not only ask, but continue to ask with our affiliates.
Persistence is one thing. I don't know how many of you were in Gino's session, but he talked about Columbus, and he said that it took Columbus 16 years of asking before he was given the go-ahead to go and explore the New World. And so he did make a point to say you have to be persistent in asking too, because it's not always going to happen the first time. Travis 1, Travis 2.
Yeah, so I actually have two examples, and one that's it's not self-promotional, but actually happens to be a relationship that I had with Paul, which is part of the reason why I'm on the panel. When I was at Backcountry, Backcountry ships to maybe 49 different countries with select SKUs, and Paul reaches out. He's like, "Hey, I'm doing paid search for this other merchant in like France or Germany or something like really ridiculous," and he's like, "Can I do it?" Yeah, absolutely. Like, we don't even think about that. And like months later, our paid search guy comes in. He's like, "What is this guy doing?" Classic merchant problem. Like, he's doing what you're not doing. He asked months ago, and I got it approved, and he's now making great commissions on really what was a pretty low spend, and it was a big win for the company and kind of humbling for our paid search manager. And it was one of the first things I ever did with Paul, which is cool. And the second, one of our clients came to us, Bank of America, and said, "We want to do crazy, like quadruple pass-back commission," which with the right merchants is an easy thing to ask for more commission, but they want to do it with apparel merchants, and they're in that area, they're already fairly tight on their margins. And it's like, well, just, they're our clients, so we don't, we're trained not to tell clients no, even if sometimes you should. But I went to an apparel merchant, and I probably shouldn't even mention it, so I'm not going to, because they would kill me. But someone that generally pays 10, 11% commission, we got them to go to 27% commission for back to school. And in the end, it was a huge success for everybody, but something that just looked like there's just no way this can happen. And just, again, because I made a couple of phone calls, I was told no, probably by 6 merchants, but 3 or 4, I can't remember which, said yes, and it was a super successful program for them. They actually asked us to bring it back, and the bank didn't want to do it again. But it was just one of those things where all it took was 10 phone calls to get 3, which is a pretty good conversion rate in and of itself.
Yeah, I've had several experiences where affiliates, they'll ask for certain things, and as an affiliate manager, we love that interaction. We love to talk with affiliates and help them with anything that they want. Several years ago, we had an affiliate that was starting to slip with their sales, and they weren't doing as well. They were one of our top fitness affiliates. And they wanted to come out and visit with us and meet with some of the merchants that are close to where our offices were. And so because they asked, I was able to set up all these different appointments with our merchants. We were able to take him to lunch, fly him in, and immediately sales started to increase for him just from getting their hands on the products and learning from the different CEOs and the managers that they can meet with. We've had other experiences where affiliates will come out and just golf with us for a day. And you know, those interactions with affiliates are very valuable. A lot of times you can get a lot further face to face than you can just over a phone or through email. And so when affiliates ask if they can come out and visit, we're more than welcoming to them to have them come and visit with us, and you know, we'll take care of them and answer any questions that they have to help them increase their sales. So.
Okay, great. I think that's a good way to kick off the panel. I've done a number of these panels in the past, and I've found that the most, I think, influential or the best types of panels where you can get the most out of are where it's just an open discussion, because otherwise then it just becomes like a lecture. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have this panel. This panel has a pretty good understanding of what it's like from the merchant perspective, the affiliate perspective, and the agency's perspective. And we're going to cover some of the questions that are asked, but not all of them are listed here. And in fact, as I was looking at this slide here from the merchant perspective, I kind of realized that I had put my agency hat on and was looking at it kind of strategically. These are kind of some of the strategic questions that we ask as a marketing team when we coordinate with other teams for our merchants. And so some of the questions that in speaking with other panel members, that probably should be asked of merchants would be more like Joe's example, where it would be like, how can we get more exposure from this affiliate, or how can we help this affiliate help us make more sales and give them more commissions and that sort of thing. So you guys, if you can, give us some ideas about how you've, from a merchant side, some of the questions that may not be being asked right now that probably should be being asked right now.
Well, so that first example I gave was about just asking to be promoted with your affiliates. Some of the other questions you can ask are supportive ones too, that we found asking our affiliates for different, if they need different banners, or if there's certain types of promotions that will work better for their audiences. Sometimes when we were actually running a special deal or promotion on our product, we would ask them if we should run a 40% off or a 30% off and free shipping, and what they actually thought their audience would respond to better.
That's great. I don't think that affiliates sometimes understand that merchants do spend a lot of time. Well, I guess I have to give Joe some credit here too, because not all merchants think this way, and I think you all know that, but the merchants who understand it and understand the value of affiliate sales are looking for ways to boost the affiliate channel as much as possible, help their affiliates out. I know that one of my pet peeves is speaking with certain merchants or potential merchants that look at, say, the dealer channel and say, you know, we don't want to offend our dealers. We don't want to do anything to put them off because they're making the sales for us and we don't want to rock the boat there. And I look at it and I just think, especially if the brand is a more mature brand where they've got the brand equity to stand behind, I look at that and say, you're giving away margins to dealers. They're owning the customer data. You need to be a little bit more loving towards your affiliates, as it were. And I've always appreciated Joe's approach to that, because he does understand that affiliate sales are incremental sales that you own the customer data as a merchant on. And I do think that merchants can do what Joe's talking about and reach out a little bit more and say, look, we notice that your audience is this type of an audience. Can we help you with some custom creatives, or what can you do, or we do for you? I don't know that that happens as much as it probably should from the merchant perspective. You guys ever run into obstacles like that with different clients or working for different companies?
Well, there's always some sort of channel conflict, right? Especially like what you said with the more mature merchants. You know, if the merchant's new, everyone's just stoked about acquisition and, you know, they're building their company. But at some point there's going to be a paid search manager or an email manager and an affiliate manager in a meeting, and there's going to be, hey, that's my customer, hey, how come you can run that coupon and I can't? And again, that's a good question to ask within the companies. But yeah, I run into that quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, and I think it's very valuable for affiliates to reach out to merchants because there's a lot of resources that they can put into helping their affiliates out. We've had a lot of affiliates that'll ask for specific banners or for specific commissions. You know, even if it's for a limited time, if you're willing to reach out and ask your merchant, a lot of times they can provide those things for you. Even like co-branded landing pages. There's a lot of things that they can put their internal teams, and they can figure out a way to help you out and make it easier on our affiliates, because you know your marketing strategies as affiliates is very valuable to the companies, and good companies that value their affiliates recognize that, so they're going to do anything they can do to provide you with what you need to be successful.
I think another thing that kind of comes to mind is the tough conversation about commissions, whether it's from the merchant side or the publisher side. You know, as a publisher, we want to get paid as much as possible, right? Like that's, you know, we're not nonprofit organizations. You know, it's a cost per sale, which is nice because there's really limited risk on the merchant side as well. But on both sides of it, I've had experience where, you know, a merchant called me up and said, hey, if I lower the commission from 5 to 4%, is that going to cut my sales? Like just straight up asked. And I ran analysis and I looked at it, and honestly, you know, I even went to my boss and said, I'm like, I can't tell him no. Like it's like he really should lower his commission, which hurt. And in the end, it strengthened the relationship. But on the other side, we get the questions a lot. Hey, if I raise your commission 1, 2, 3%, you know, how can you promote us more? Or, you know, what extra can we get out of that? Whether it's extra cash back, or can you use that extra commission to get us more placements on your site? So. And the tough part there on my side is, you know, I really don't want to lie to the merchant one time and say, oh no, your sales are going to be fine, or they're going to tank. But there are other cases too where merchants even lower their sales or their commission 1%, their sales really do tank, because in the loyalty world, the cash back or the points are king. But in that one example, like, he asked the perfect question and probably saved quite a bit of money for them in the long term.
And I think some of these questions, again, they don't have to be merchant to affiliate or merchant to agency, but sometimes it's within the merchant itself has to make these decisions. And one of these things, the top one here is, are we overpaying or underpaying our affiliates in commissions? And frankly, I think that a lot of affiliate programs could double their commissions and still be better off than say, going through other channels. I mean, you think about how much margin is given away in Amazon just because Amazon is Amazon. And, you know, Amazon owns a customer at that point, and there's dealer conflict and all of that. But I think that understanding, look, if we do this, like there was an example where it got bumped up to 27%. You see that, and granted, it may cause a little bit of heartburn for a while, but you realize that you've now acquired a customer that you can remarket to and everything else. There's huge value in that. And so my personal belief is that across the board, affiliate commissions generally are too low. Is that too inflammatory a statement, or?
It's perfect coming from you, Paul. Like but no, I think people can definitely go more, and I found that if you ask and say the right things, that can, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's important for affiliates when they're asking for a higher commission to have a proposal, like Travis was talking about. Go to the affiliate manager and have something in place that you're going to be able to do, and the affiliate manager is going to be able to get the sign off for your higher commission a lot easier. It's going to make it a lot easier for you as an affiliate to have that relationship where you're saying, I'm going to increase your placement on your page, or do something like that. But I know in the hosting, you know, we're paying for that lifetime customer, and so our initial commissions are pretty high. But look at that with your affiliate managers, because that might be a case where they can pay you a little bit more if you're willing to do something for them as well.
There's a question?
I have a question.
Yep.
From an affiliate perspective, what is a good time to ask for an increase in commission?
Okay, so
Is it good to establish a track record of, increased sales 50% for the last couple months, and then you contact them and say, get recognition of that, which will allow you to keep going?
Okay, because this is being videoed, I want to make sure that the question is caught for those that watch this afterwards. But the question, as I heard it, was when is a good time to ask for an affiliate commission? Do you have to prove yourself first, or can you just ask up front? And so I'll open that up to the panel.
I'd say it's situational. For us, oftentimes we wanted affiliates to prove themselves first, and as we saw kind of a trend upward, that was a good time for them to ask. Other times, if they had already proven themselves with other programs and we had a personal relationship with them, and they said, we're going to now bring on this new product or this new program and start promoting it, but we need you to raise the commission level to yay high in order for it to really work for us, that also worked.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely situational, but it never hurts to reach out right off the bat and say, hey, I know you guys are paying this. Either what do I got to do to get, kind of like car salesman, which is a little cheesy, but like it works still. Like where do I need to be to get that 7%? But at the same time, if you have a proven relationship with the guy, the manager, and just say, hey, this is what I need. How long can we run that? And if it doesn't work, I'll go back to the baseline. It's fine. But again, it's amazing what people will do for a month or two, even if you just ask. Because the beauty of affiliate sales is, if you blow it out of the water, it's cool. And if you do nothing, there's no harm, no foul.
Yeah, just to that point there, I liked what he said to start, which is it doesn't hurt to ask up front. And as affiliate managers, I think we've seen that a lot where people do ask. And I'd just like to emphasize that it's important in how you ask. Because I try to teach my kids, I've got a 12 and a 13-year-old, and I let them know that was a good question, the way you delivered it. I can hear my wife saying, tone, change the tone there. And so if you deliver it properly, you can just ask, and again, there's no harm in asking. There's no offense taken. You might get a bump right off the bat just simply for asking. And then in other cases, they may say, well, they have to prove themselves first or whatnot. But if you ask in a professional way, then I think that there's no harm in that at all.
We had an affiliate once that we caught bidding on our protected terms. And so I was calling him up to reach out and tell him to stop or we're going to have to kick him out of the program. And he asked me for a commission increase. So that's probably not the appropriate time.
The merchants are so under so many different goals, and they're always trying to get more. So if you could even provide a little bit of something unique, or at least new traffic, sometimes that's all it takes to even say, yeah, we're going to test with this new traffic source. And that's really all it even takes to get approved up the channel. So, yeah.
Or sometimes just clarifying that you want to establish a long-term relationship with the merchant. That goes a long way too.
Yeah, I think that's hard for a merchant to see the affiliate channel start to grow, and then somebody bails on them, and it's like, well, what happened to our affiliate sales? Well, this affiliate's gone, and so the long term does go a long way. Okay, now from the affiliate perspective, kind of tried to, we did have, this is going to be intermixed a little bit, some coming from all angles, but the questions we have listed here are, can you offer pay-per-call? I don't know, there was a session that Jeremy Palmer did a few summits ago that was about an affiliate scorecard. And if you hadn't seen it, I recommend that you go back and look in the archives and whatnot to get it. But it showed what an affiliate should be looking for in a program. If there are leaks on the page, if there's an 800 number or another lead flow that may take people away and you're not getting credit for it, what the conversion rate is, what the shopping cart, how many steps in the shopping cart. It's a very, very good scorecard, and I recommend that if you haven't seen that you look into it, because it helps you identify a solid program. But these are some of the questions that an affiliate can ask and probably should be asking. You offer pay-per-call. Can you do lead gen? And maybe if you're doing lead gen separate from sales, can we, as affiliates, make some money on the lead gen side as well? And get exclusives. Exclusives are a big deal. Again, a lot of merchants, as you probably hear from up here, they want to customize things for their affiliates. If you're an affiliate that's willing to put effort on behalf of the merchant, then merchants, you'd be surprised how willing they are to bend over backwards for you. So on some of these questions here, you guys ever hear affiliates asking these when they should be asking, or not, maybe not asking them? Have you ever been asked things like this? we've been asked that a lot. Pay per call for one of my clients is a big deal, and it's just been really tough to get through.
Yeah, I think we got asked that like every month. For us, our answer was typically no on that, just because we got 2 calls a month. And so it wasn't worth it to us. We'd lose money on it. But exclusives, we'd get asked for exclusives all the time. And we were glad when affiliates would ask us for exclusives, because what we would see is an increased conversion rate. So for us, we were hoping that affiliates would ask for those.
On our side, when we're offered exclusives from merchants, it's kind of like it's their way of almost guilting us into using some of the coupons. We're a little less coupon based than most, but when they say, hey, we can do exclusive, I'm like, all right, we'll take the exclusive, and I'll find a spot for that, because they work better, they convert higher, and if the merchant's willing to ask us to use it, I'm willing to do that. And now we've gotten to the point where now we ask for exclusives, and specifically, we actually have a Canadian client that wants nothing but exclusives, and they're a higher end U.S. based credit card company. They want exclusives in Canada, and that was kind of an unheard thing in Canada like 18 months ago, which is weird. They're kind of like the affiliate world 5 years ago up there. It's kind of the Wild West. So check it out. Actually, it's pretty cool. But same thing. We called up a couple agencies, called up our networks, and said, hey, we need exclusives for Canada, and coupons were relatively new for a lot of those merchants. And lo and behold, like exclusives with people that never really did coupons appeared, and it's again just one of those things where work the phone, work the email, and things will happen. And you're going to get told no, but more often than not, people are looking for these new venues for sales, and especially the merchants need the international growth and new customers that didn't exist, and it's a big deal.
Yeah, I liked what Joe was saying. I mean, we as merchants, affiliate managers, we like it when affiliates ask any question, because it shows that affiliate's engaged and that they want to have that long-term relationship. When I get worried is when affiliates aren't asking the questions, because it shows that they're really not interested. They're not as engaged in the program. But we really want that long-term relationship. And so when you ask even the simplest of questions, it just shows that manager that, you know what, I'm interested, I want to build this thing with you, and I want this long-term relationship, a partnership with you. So.
Going on that, my first, I guess I was 2 weeks into being an affiliate manager at Overstock, and we just kicked out all New York affiliates because of Nexus TAC issues, and I was at Linkshare New York. Like, I had no idea what an IO was. Like, I didn't know what our baseline commission was, or what, like, I barely knew what we could go up to in cost, like budget. Like, I had no idea, but I was hired, and it was great. I was in New York, good times, and luckily the person I met was the greatest person for me to meet, and he's a longtime affiliate friend now, but at the time he was with Ebates. He just kind of took me under his wing and just answered all my questions. Like, this is what an IO is, this is why, and like 10 minutes later, I felt like I was an affiliate pro, just like going through everything. And it's a good thing I was willing to ask him the questions and be dumb, or else maybe I wouldn't be around anymore. But really, just ask. If someone says something that you don't know, like if someone says CPA, and like you say, does that mean percent of sale, or are you talking leads now? Just ask, because at least they'll know you're paying attention. And that's important.
That's a good point, I think, for the summit as a whole. I mean, this is a great venue to meet with people, and a lot of times you'll sit down to lunch or something, and it always impresses me when somebody sits down and they say, hey, how's it going? What do you do? Or, where do you work? Because when they don't, and you just kind of in your own world, you may have missed an opportunity. I've had that happen half a dozen times in this summit. It seems to happen every time. And yeah, maybe only one of those pans out into a long-term relationship, but that becomes really, really valuable. And so don't hesitate to ask. I mean, it's kind of like the experiment at the beginning, right? You wouldn't have $50 if you didn't volunteer. And so you have to be willing to put yourself out there in order to be in a position to even ask. If you're not putting yourself out there in the first place, then you're not going to be able to ask for money or other things. So there's one woman that I sat next to is doing a blogger network, and we're really dealing with this issue of bloggers. How do they monetize it, and how do they tie into the affiliate world? Because in the past they would just want a tchotchke, and she said tchotchkes don't pay the rent anymore, and that's kind of where it was. But now they're trying to tie into affiliates, and there's this whole idea, the last few panels I've been at have been on attribution, and you have the introducer, the influencer, and the closer, and what we're seeing a lot more of now is the closer is getting all sorts of, basically last click wins. Closer gets the credit for it, so we have a lot of influencing happening that's not getting credited, and we're trying to figure out with the clients that we work with, how do we give the influencers more credit? Or is it parsing the commissions, or what do we do on that front? I'm wondering if anyone on the panel has seen the trend going toward that, toward figuring out how do we reward people through the whole conversion path and not just the closers.
Yeah, I think this is something that our OPM brought up with us a couple of years ago, trying to stay kind of ahead of the curve. And at that point, the technology wasn't really, I think, industry standard to solve it, but it's kind of becoming that way now. And our solution now is to really credit both of them.
Yeah.
And currently we're doing equal weight on them. But, you know, I can see the argument for either way, to give the closer more of it or to actually give the content affiliate more of the commission. So for us, if the affiliate actually asks us and says, hey, we're throwing all this traffic your way, but we're only getting credited 50% on these commissions, we feel like we're bringing those sales to you, I think we would actually weight it in favor of them.
I think that's a good point, because a lot of times the influencers may be pushing the traffic and not seeing the sales and then give up. I think if you're legitimately, contextually pushing traffic to a merchant and you're not seeing the sales, it definitely behooves you to reach out to them and say, am I missing something? Because they may be willing to, like you said, give part of the commission. I know that the trend seems to be moving toward coupon affiliates earning a little lesser commission than they would otherwise, because not only are you paying them full commission, but you're also paying the discounts, so the margins for the retailer are considerably lower. And so I think that's a trend that everyone is seeing coming, if not has come for a lot of them. And so with that commission that's being pulled back from the couponer, some of that could be moved to the influencers more, and I think, frankly, I think it should.
Yeah, we had a merchant a couple years ago that didn't want to continue with the affiliate program because of coupon affiliates. They felt like they were just coming in right at the end, and obviously didn't want to use this merchant, so we set up the Avant Metrics tool through Avant Link, and we were able to see that a lot of coupon affiliates are actually the influencers as well. And so we were able to take that stereotype and kind of break it down. And so I think you're going to see a lot of networks setting up the attribution and following that model so that we can get a better idea of, you know, where's the click coming from, where are they going, and through the entire click cycle. And so there are some tools out there that, you know, merchants, affiliate managers can use to be able to see that. And so that way you can give it back to the affiliates that are really generating the revenue for you and helping them out. So.
Yeah, it's. I know it's a hot button issue on the merchant side. You know, paid, like I said earlier, paid search, fighting with the affiliate channel, trying to figure out whose customer that really is. But really, whatever it ends up being on the merchant side, what they need to figure out is, like, all these people brought the customer, and figure out how to add value. And if you don't want to end up being last click, that's fine. But, you know, definitely knowing where the customer comes from it makes a huge improvement to where it was, and I feel like it's definitely the way that the industry's going.
Okay, so I do think that asking needs to happen on both sides. The asking needs to be happening internally from the merchant's perspective, saying, what is our conversion path, where are the touch points, and how do we compensate people that are involved in the conversion path. And I think from the affiliate perspective, again, if you are sending traffic and it's contextual and you feel that it's relevant enough to where it should be yielding sales and it's not, reach out and ask the merchant if there's something that you can be doing differently. And just by reaching out many times, I think you're going to be rewarded in one way or another.
And I think part of the principle is we've had a lot of affiliates get frustrated, but we don't know that they're frustrated unless they tell us.
Yeah.
And so when they've asked, when they've told us that they're frustrated, we're able to explain either the reason for it or we're able to solve a problem. I remember one of our affiliates a couple of years ago didn't get credited for about $5,000 worth of commissions, and they were just fuming about it for a couple of weeks. Finally, our rep over at CJ called us and told us, as soon as they called, I went in the next day, found the sales. It was really difficult. It probably took me, 12 or 14 hours of work to go through line item by item and figure out which sales came from them after fixing the pixel. But I was able to do it, and then we credited them their commissions. So they just, instead of being just frustrated, communicate, ask.
They expected you to realize that they deserved it, though, right? I mean, it's back to that quote that we saw earlier on. I mean, a lot of times I feel that we feel people should recognize us because we're awesome and we deserve whatever it is that we're looking for. So,
I think the interesting thing, and I tried to explain this once to a boss, that even though it's a commission based or a cost per sale industry, it's a relationship industry. It's more so than so many other of the internet marketing channels. So, in the end, like it comes down to, whatever your, cost per sale or whatever metrics you're using on the affiliate side, or the merchant side, or the network side. But in the end, it's a relationship industry. And if you're good at being able to reach out and forge relationships, you'll be good at whatever it is that you're doing, and you might not get the answer you want, but you'll get closure. Like if that merchant didn't, or that affiliate didn't get paid, at least in the end, they're like, okay, well, at least these guys are reasonable to deal with, and in the future they'll come back to you, which before probably was never going to do business with Joe again. But it's a good thing that they reached out and did that, and that's the key.
Well, and it benefited both sides. Not only did they get their commission, but this was a good affiliate, so they kept providing sales for us in the future.
Right, and had you known that affiliate was upset with you, I'm sure you would have been on the phone first thing in the morning, right? Like
Exactly.
That's the beauty of the industry.
yeah, that don't assume things, I guess, comes into play there as well. Now, here's a question at the end here that says, have any of you guys ever had an affiliate call up and say, hey, what are other affiliates doing? Or what are your most successful affiliates doing? How are other affiliates, I'm not having any success, what are they doing? Have any of you had that question asked to you?
Yes, and sometimes it's in a good way. Specifically, the advice that I've given to some of our affiliates is to promote our product by creating content, not only providing like if they're a discount or a coupon, but actually having a review done of the product or something like that. And just kind of copying the model of the success ones without plagiarizing and being parasitic on the other affiliates.
Yeah, and that's what Google's looking for. They're all about value. They're talking about user experience and the value that the sites will provide. But I kind of set it up as almost a loaded question because, if you give away the secrets of your top performers, then your top performers are going to be ticked off. But it's something that's been happening for a long time. You want to help affiliates that are sincere in asking, what can I do to make things better? But when somebody phrases it as, what are your top affiliates doing, or what is this affiliate specifically doing? They're kind of just professional courtesy is not to give away any sort of those.
Yeah, like
those
ones
traits.
that ask about specific search engine techniques or other things like that, and want to know exactly what the other affiliates are doing. We just won't share that information with them.
Yeah.
And one of the most common questions that we get is affiliates asking for us to write the content for them. And if we were to do that for all of our affiliates, we're just going to have a ton of duplicate content out there. And the biggest value of affiliates that they provide to brands is your marketing knowledge. We want that different point of view, that different recommendation to help close those sales. So we get asked that a lot. I always will work with the affiliate, give them ideas, but we always want those affiliates to come up with their own marketing and their own copy to really help drive those sales, because they're some of the best brand ambassadors out there for us if we work together. So.
And again, I think we have, from this panel's perspective, we're trying to look at it from a merchant perspective, an agency perspective, an affiliate perspective. And as an agency, I'm constantly trying to figure out ways to get the merchant to give some incentive to the channel or something that's going to boost the channel. So some of the things that we ask is, can we run a contest? Can we do something to give a temporary commission boost and that sort of thing? And I think that those are the types of questions that need to be asked. Again, it needs to come from the bottom up and the top down. It just has to come from all directions. Are we doing everything we can to make this program successful? And have you guys run into I guess, you run an agency now. I mean, have you seen where people look at that and they're willing, your merchants are willing to give you stuff if you come to them creatively and ask, what can we do to bump things in this channel?
Yeah, they are. Especially if I begin by asking them what their costs are and where they need to be on profit margin. Because if I know that, then I can ask them within that range and where they're comfortable. But when I ask them outside of that range, either because I don't know or because I'm trying to push the envelope because I want sales to increase, or from my own perspective as a merchant, when I was asked and pushed me outside of the range where I'd start to lose some of my profitability, that was frustrating as a merchant, right?
Yeah.
So kind of that preparatory question of understanding the program kind of inside and out from an agency perspective. So that way, when you're trying to actually increase sales, you're doing it while maintaining profitability, then you can ask the right questions.
Yeah, I think that was something that was brought up in the keynote the other day too, about what they call it, the sales tiered commissions, or commissions based on item level commissions, you know, because I've seen it to where certain products are more profitable than other products, and so that's something that I think that a lot of programs don't even look at. They just have a set commission and go from there, and they just are more profitable on some products than they are on others. And I think if you were to ask that question as an agency or as a merchant, what are your more profitable items, and then can we do a tiered commission based on profitability, I think that that's one way of making a program more effective. That's one of those things that we're working on with some of our clients. I think that you talked about the range. That's one of the basic questions that people don't really understand. It's a lot of times, well, we pay 10% or we pay 12% in the affiliate channel. Well, no, you need to have a range and say what is a tolerable range for you to where you're still profitable. And the way I usually phrase it is, I want you to have a range to where even at the top end of that range, you would be happy to sell all day long and scale it as much as possible, because you're profitable, you're acquiring new customers, you own the customer data, and you know, we're going to make this as big as possible. And a lot of times people just focus, well, this is where we are here, and they don't give you any flexibility. You need that flexibility to be able to offer higher commissions in certain circumstances, and you need to be able to say, look, in general, we're selling at this rate here. We have some range here, so like Black Friday comes or different promotions come up, you can say we're going to bump it up. And you don't have to bump it up across the board, but you can bump it up for individual affiliates if necessary. Have you guys ever dealt with that? You guys have ever dealt with item level commissions, or I guess the range issue? Has that ever come up?
Profitability comes up all the time. When I was at Overstock, we implemented the category-based commissions, and it actually made the program a lot more profitable. And it did hurt some affiliates when it rolled out, but they adjusted, and hopefully we rolled it out in a way that was, you know, proactive, and I feel like we did. But you know, you never know. But I actually had a talk with a big merchant today, and you know, being a loyalty publisher, it makes it more difficult to be flexible that way, because we try to base our pass back on the lowest common denominator. So if you can pay me 10% here but 2% there, we're, you know, for us to be profitable in pass back, we have to either not commission on that part, or we have to just base the pass back on the 2%. And we're trying to find creative ways on our end to help our merchants be profitable but still be able to pass back at that higher percent. And it's kind of a tough game for us, but it's worth having the discussions, because there's a lot more potential there, and merchants a lot happier at that point.
And I think you mentioned you have to have discussions, right? It can't be one word answers, or can we do this? Yes, no. You know, it has to be, this is why we need it at this level. And again, if you deliver it properly and say, this is what we're looking for, this is why we need it to be like this, because if it's otherwise, it's not going to work for us. People understand that as business, you know, but if you just say, we need this, then you're probably not going to get that unless you clarify.
I think it's the power of coming out to events and meeting face to face. We're so used to either being within our own companies, or me, I work from home, so I'm like, you know, barefoot in my bedroom, pounded away at the computer, like doing work. But when you come out and you sit down and you meet with all your partners, you know, not only do you get to have a better relationship with them, which is important, but you get to talk about where their pain points are, where their goals are, what they're trying to do this year, and what their goals are for next year. And accidentally, lots of opportunities come up. Just in talking, ideas come up and questions come up that you wouldn't have asked in an email that you responded to in 2 minutes. So even besides the power of accessing, the power of getting up and coming here and going to other events, and even just going to other people's panels. I mean, Paul goes to more content than I could even handle, but he's mentioned just here four or five other things that I kind of want to go back and find some of those sessions now, and it's like, what did I miss in that? And just getting up and going out and talking to people.
Yeah, I often say that it's not for lack of opportunity, it's just more an issue of prioritizing, because there's opportunity galore, and you just need to figure out what's the best one to go after. There is a ton of content out there, a ton of ways to learn, and that's a good segue into the end of the panel here. This is a question and answer session at this point. You know, the panel's called The Power of Asking, so at this point we're going to throw it over to you for any questions that you might have. And if you could, I have a mic here, so, well, actually, you know what? There's a mic right here that I'm being pointed to, so if you want to come up to this mic and ask questions for the panel, I'd appreciate that.
Hi, I have a question. This is from a merchant perspective. Our company is still a little bit new to the affiliate game, and I've heard from other sessions where they've talked about trying to identify your high value versus your low value affiliates. And besides from some of the basic metrics that we can look at, you know, conversion, AOV and whatnot, what are some of the other things that you might look at when segmenting your affiliate population to kind of determine who is really giving you the best value?
Well, I think segmentation is really important. Thank you for your question. When you're working with affiliates and trying to figure out who are the high value and low value, segmentation is really important. And a lot of what you'll find is, are they adding value? Because affiliate marketing is a microcosm of overall online marketing, right? And so I've been on panels where I've talked with folks that say our media department is kind of hesitant about affiliate in general. They think, well, it's just affiliate, and it's kind of like the redheaded stepchild, I guess. But what he said stood out for me is, it's basically affiliates have to work within slimmer margins. And so a lot of times they're better at what your media department is trying to do than your media department is. And it's hard to say, but it's more, affiliates tend to be more guerrilla. So they're filling in the gaps. They're finding those opportunities that may not necessarily be worth the time of a larger media department. And so basically you have to identify what it is that those affiliates are doing. Are they sending search traffic? Is it search to their site and then to your site? Or is there a way that they're going to go directly to your site? Or, you know, are they adding a coupon? Do they have a big audience? There are cookie cutter coupon sites out there, and I would recommend staying away from those, simply because if someone's looking for a coupon, they don't have to have 100 choices. You know, maybe a dozen solid ones that have their own audiences that you may be found on that coupon site without them finding you first, then them, and getting that coupon on top of it. You know, if you can find those $10 million a month types of sites, or 10 million unique visitors a month, those types of sites are the ones you would consider higher value, as opposed to the, you know, cookie cutter coupon sites and that sort of thing. Anyone have anything to add to that?
You can also look at like who is Google PageRank once you get to that affiliate site, and you can get a good idea of what kind of traffic or the amount of traffic that they're receiving. It's not completely accurate, but it gives you a good screenshot of what that affiliate is and their value and what they're going to be able to provide to you.
I think the tough part with newer merchants is, you know, you came into affiliate because you wanted to get more sales, possibly more new customers. Like, ask the questions inside, like what is our affiliate program going to do for us? Are they supplementing paid search? Are we just using them for acquisition? Does it need to be profitable right out of the bat? And make sure that stuff's lined up so that you know, so like 2 years from now when your affiliate program's 2 or 3 times as big, you're not, well, you know, crap, 10% commission, we're not breaking even, we're not even making any money. And maybe that's the goal, maybe that's the cost of acquisition, but know that going in, and then you can start asking those other hard questions like, okay, you know, this type of coupon affiliate is doing amazing for us, and the loyalty for whatever reason isn't, or vice versa, or content is crazy, or our paid search team is swamped, so we need to find some affiliates to fill in those gaps. But definitely the newer merchants, because it's such a moving target too, coming from your company, I'm sure make sure you're asking the questions internally so that you're looking at the right people, because the affiliates that are driving a lot of sales could be the ones that are your high value affiliates, but it could be those mid-tier ones whose customers are so much better because their content's better or they have their own unique traffic.
Yeah, I second both, basically what all you guys said there. I agree with all that. I think additionally, I'm a big fan of empirics. I definitely look at the different metrics, and then you can kind of segment that into high quality versus low quality, but I would say it's more on a continuum rather than just, bifurcating it. But I think there are qualitative measures that you can look at, like reliability of the affiliate, whether you're able to get in touch with them if you need to, longevity of the affiliate, whether they're promoting your brand properly in the way that you want them to, and predictability of that affiliate too. Those things aren't easily measured metrically, but I think they influence your relationship with those affiliates and can sometimes show whether they're going to be much more profitable for you for years to come rather than just in the short term.
And I like what he said about being able to communicate with the affiliate. If you're looking, a lot of the sites that we reject are foreign sites that they have an email address and don't even list a phone number and that sort of thing. I want to be able to go to a Thai restaurant with one of our top affiliates like I did last night, just because I know who they are. They reach out, they talk to us, phone calls. I got beat up a number of years ago because I'd taken a fairly large program to where I cleaned it out and said, unless you're going to provide us with your email address and phone number, we can't have you as an affiliate because we need to be able to reach out to you. And like I said, I kind of got beat up about it because it was relatively new. This was back in 05, 06. And since then, CJ is requiring email addresses when people sign up and that sort of thing. But the industry has evolved and it's much more mature now, where it's no longer, I'm going to be anonymous and I can do this and I don't want to hear from them, and I hope I don't hear from them. That's the way it used to be a lot of times. Now it's, I want to be able to pick up the phone and let you know about this particular thing. And frankly, you're not going to get a ton of phone calls. Email is still the preferred means of communication. But if you don't get a response via email, that shows you how professional or unprofessional an affiliate is. Yeah, I think we have time for one more question.
I've been a long-time affiliate for insurance lead generation, and I have a pretty good relationship with the company, mostly for home insurance I deal with. And just recently, they dropped my commissions for a certain state by 30%, and I do a lot of SEM. I use Google's conversion optimizer tool. It's been really nice up until lately, and I'm pretty pissed off, to be honest. So, it goes without saying. Obviously, the affiliate manager, he gave a reason that it was justifiable that they were losing money on these leads, which is probably true. But my thought about this is, do I bite the bullet and try to evolve and try to, drive commissions through other states, or do I just cut everything and send them nothing? Have him reach out to me to put me in a position of power so I can negotiate, a middle ground with him, because I already asked for a middle ground and he refused me on it.
I think that's a great question. Thank you. One of those things that you have to understand, and I preach this for a long time, is we're kind of dealing with a money chain. Everyone that touches the chain has a margin that they can work within, and if that company's margin has shrunk to the point to where they're no longer profitable, and then they pass that cost cutting on to you, and then what you're doing is no longer profitable because you can only produce those leads at a certain cost to you within Google, it may be time to cut bait. I've seen that happen a lot of times where people, the profitability is, maybe they have outside forces that are making them less and less profitable. It's much more competitive. It's a decision that you have to make. Can you go and find a competitor that's willing to pay more, it's going to convert at the same rate, that sort of thing. But you do, it's one of those decision-making times for you where you have to decide, what, if I would cut it off. If you're not making money, obviously you can't run in the red too long, but it's a decision you have to make. Can I switch to a competitor, or do I just cut bait at this point? Anyone else have thoughts on that?
I would first of all, it sounds like you've done like you've talked to the affiliate manager, which is huge. And the lead, if anybody's dealt in the lead space, it fluctuates a lot more, and it's tough. The first thing I would do is I'd find competitors and say, hey, I was doing this for this particular company, kind of start a new relationship, because it sounds like the existing relationship is, strained because of monetary and probably goal reasons on the merchant side. See if you can, remonetize that tool that you've created that, you probably, spent a lot of time working on, and you don't want to just give up on it. Paul's the guy to ask. Like, he's done, lead stuff for lots of different financial and other industries. So, if he tells you to cut, maybe you should. But I would look at least at some of the competitors and say, hey, what can you do in this state? Because I have a good lead base, and see if it's worth running again. But definitely don't go chasing past dollars. It could be time to evolve.
All right, I think we are out of time, so I'd like to just leave you with, if you don't ask, you don't get. The answer is always no, and you'll never know. So thank you for your time. There are some links at the end of the deck. Look for it afterwards. It should be on SlideShare, and thank you very much.
Thanks.